So for today, our topic will all about the different kinds of research. So some of you have already submitted sa Google Classroom yung mga target topics nila. But some of you, up till now, wala pa rin kayong masyadong idea or wala pang nasasubmit on target topics on what to do for your research paper. So hopefully, our discussion today and learning the different kinds of research will help you get an idea on what kind of research you would like to do or would be interesting for you or attainable on your part. So coming from the curriculum of K-12, our objective for this lesson is, of course, to differentiate the two kinds of research, quantitative from qualitative research. And then further on, we also have to learn the different characteristics, the strengths and weaknesses of the different kinds of qualitative research. So for today, ang magiging discussion natin will focus on an overview of what is qualitative and quantitative research, in what way are they different from each other, and then from there, we will focus specifically on the different kinds of qualitative research. So we have 5 different kinds of qualitative research. We will learn all about them, what are their strengths, their weaknesses, what are example topics na pasok doon sa kind of qualitative research na yon. And then next week, we will continue the discussion to the different kinds of quantitative research. So for now, ang kaya lang ng oras natin is the different kinds of qualitative research. So in line with this, our essential question, or the questions that you should be able to answer at the end of this lesson, number 1 is, in what way is qualitative research different from quantitative research? Ano yung mga characteristics or elements that is found in a qualitative research pero wala sa quantitative research? And then from there, what are the different kinds of qualitative research, their characteristics, advantages, and limitations? So medyo malawak yung ating essential questions for today. At medyo malawak din yung ating magiging discussion for today. So I hope you have your notebooks and your ball pens ready to take important information. Like I said, you can use the notes that you will be taking down today to help you answer the modules that you will be receiving tomorrow. So meron po akong module na isi-send, ibibigay sa inyo for research class. Okay, so let's start. What you're seeing on your screen is basically an overview of the differences between qualitative research and quantitative research. Okay, so in terms of the type of questions, qualitative research allows researchers to have in-depth information. So mas malalim yung kaya niyang ibigay na information sa inyo. That's why the term there is very probing. Okay? Whereas when it comes to quantitative research, medyo limited yung depth or yung lalim ng kaya niyang ibigay na information sa inyo. For example, in qualitative research kasi, one of the most commonly used tools to gather qualitative data is through conducting interviews. Okay? Whereas in quantitative kasi, the most commonly used tool to gather quantitative data is through the use of surveys. Okay? So because of the tools na ginagamit nila, survey, for example, napaka-impersonal niyan. Kasi may bibigay ka lang na paper and then sasagutan lang nung respondent. Pag nagpunta kayo sa Jollibee, minsan may bibigay lang sila sa inyong parang menu, naka-cardboard, tapos may mga question doon. Tapos bibilugan nyo lang yung sagot ninyo. So nakapag-conduct na sila ng survey if you are satisfied with their services, if you are satisfied with the products that they are offering. So napaka-impersonal nun. Kasi yung questions are very generic or general, applicable for everyone. Kaya ang sabi niya dito, limited yung depth or yung lalim ng data that you can gather in a quantitative research. Pero dahil medyo mababaw siya and it applies to everyone, yun naman yung advantage niya, general. It applies to everyone, therefore they are a representative. You can say that they are representative of a given population. So, for example, yung data sa quantitative research, pwede mong sabihin na majority of the people of Subic or majority of the residents of Kalapakuan, ito yung idea nila about dito. So it can represent a specific population. Whereas in qualitative kasi, interview siya. So when you conduct interview kasi, di ba, parang personal siya. Kung sino lang yung kinakausap mo or kung sino lang yung ini-interview mo, very specific yung question mo para sa kanila. At the beginning, you are going to start with general interview questions. Pero based doon sa mga sagot niya, you can add follow-up questions or very specific questions na about doon lang sa experience niya or nakabase doon sa mga sagot niya. That's why qualitative research allows probing and gathering of very in-depth data. Mas malalim yung kanyang data na nag-gather. Kasi nga, very personal and very specific para doon sa taong yon yung mga questions na ibibigay mo. Hindi katulad sa quantitative, dapat ang questions mo generic, applicable para sa lahat. Okay? Another difference in terms of qualitative and quantitative research is in terms of the sample size. Itong term ng sample size na ito, may encounter nyo siya palagi sa statistics and probability. So when we say sample size kasi, ibig sabihin, we are going to choose a certain number of people that will represent the entire population. So, for example, residente ng Kalapakuan, ilan ba ang total population ng Kalapakuan? Hindi naman possible na lahat ng residente ng Kalapakuan ma-interview mo. Napakahirap nun. So what you're going to do is you're just going to take a certain percentage of the population to ensure na sila yung magre-represent doon sa population ng Kalapakuan. So hindi lahat isa-survey mo or hindi lahat kailangan mong i-interview. So in terms of the sample size, qualitative research only requires a small number of people. Kasi nga usually nag-i-interview ka. And interview, it takes a lot of time. Most of the time, hindi lang siya dapat once. May mga follow-up interviews pa na nangyayari. So minsan, 2 beses or 3 beses mo sila i-interview. So it takes a lot of time. Tapos, syempre, kailangan mong i-consider yung time availability nila. So kung ang isang tao, it will take around 1 hour for you to interview them. At kailangan mo mag-interview ng 60 people or 60 na katao, napakalaki nun, napakatagal nung time that it will take for you to gather data. Tapos uulitin mo pa siya ng second time tsaka third time. So masyado na siyang matrabaho. That's why usually, in qualitative research, konti lang ang kanyang sample population. Usually, nasa 10% lang. So, minsan, 5 people na i-interview mo, 10 people na i-interview mo, marami na yon. Okay? 10 to 15, ganyan lang. Yun yung kanyang normal na sample size. So, hindi mo kailangang masyadong marami. Pero dahil konti lang yung pagkukuhanan mo ng data, dapat ma-ensure mo na yung mga questions mo makakakuha ng maraming data sa kanila. So, in terms of yung mga i-interviewin mong tao, konti lang sila, pero kailangan malalim at saka marami yung sagot at information na makukuha mo dun sa 5 yon. Okay? Hindi siya katulad ng quantitative research. Sa quantitative research, malaki ang sample population. Kasi nga naman, when you conduct surveys, napakadali lang niya. Nung kayo ay nagsagot ng survey sa Jollibee in less than 5 minutes, tapos na kayo. Tapos pwedeng sabay-sabay pa. Diba? Ikaw, yung kaibigan mo, tsaka isang kaibigan mo, sabay-sabay kayong nagsasagot ng survey, pwede yon. So, sa quantitative research, if you conduct surveys, you can gather as much as 100 responses in just 1 day. Maliit pa nga yung 100 in 1 day. And that's the reason why quantitative research has a very large sample size. Usually, ang mga common research na ginagawa ng students, ang sample sizes nila is around 40, 50, or 60 respondents. You can go beyond that, pero pagka konti lang ang respondents mo sa quantitative, hindi ganun ka-reliable yung magiging data ninyo. Mas marami sa quantitative, the more, the better. Ibig sabihin, mas magiging reliable yung results ninyo kasi mas maraming nag-represent doon sa population na yon. And that is possible kasi sabi ko nga sa inyo, kaya ninyong simultaneously sabay-sabay magpasagot ng isang questionnaire. And if it takes them 5 minutes in just 3 hours, how many na yung respondents na pwede mong mahingan ng sagot, which is not possible when it comes to qualitative research. Okay? And then, of course, the information per respondent. In qualitative research, automatic yon. Marami kang pwedeng information na mahingi sa isang respondent. Kailangan lang maging strategic ka at saka maging skilled ka in asking the questions. So the information na magagather ninyo in qualitative research depends on the researcher. Kung magaling siyang magtanong ng tanong at magaling siyang makipag-usap sa mga respondents, then marami kang makukuhang information. Pero kung ikaw yung ayaw mo makipag-usap, nagmamadali ka, kung ano na yung sagot nila, okay na yon, ayaw mo nang magbigay ng follow-up questions, medyo konti yung makukuha mong information. When it comes to quantitative research, it varies. Depende sa haba ng questionnaire mo. Siyempre, mas mahaba ang questionnaire, mas marami kang information na makukuha. Mas konti ang questionnaire, ibig sabihin, for example, 5 questions lang, limited yung information na makukuha mo. Pero kung yung questionnaire na ibibigay mo ay merong 50 questions, siyempre, mas marami yung information na makukuha mo. Yun nga lang, hindi kasi talaga suggested na when you give survey questionnaires, maraming question. Kasi ang tendency nun, hindi na siya sinasagutan ng maayos ng mga respondents. Kasi even naman kayo, pag nakakita kayo ng, alam niyo yung nakita niyo yung test paper na merong 40 questions, even naman kayo tinatabandang basahin lahat. Minsan babasahin niyo yung first 10 questions, tapos pagdating ng question number 11, hindi niyo na siya babasahin ng word per word or hindi niyo na iintindihin yung question ng maayos. Kung manghuhula na lang kayo or sasagutan niyo na lang siya as is. 'Di ba? Ganon din when it comes to answering survey questionnaire. Kapareho nyo din na ang mga respondents, pag nakakita ng survey na 3 pages back to back, hindi na rin nila gustong sagutan or hindi na nila sasagutan ng maayos. So usually, when it comes to survey questionnaire, we limit the number of questions enough for you to gather enough data. Hindi ganun kadami katulad sa qualitative, pero enough for you to come up with a valid conclusion, with a good result. Pero as much as possible, konti lang yung questions para mas ma-ensure natin na sasagutan talaga siya ng mga respondents. Okay? Sino ang nag-a-administer ng qualitative and quantitative research? When it comes to qualitative research, it requires a skilled researcher talaga. Kasi when it comes to qualitative, sabi ko nga sa inyo, you are going to interview people. Common yon, common way of gathering data. At hindi lahat ay skilled when it comes to asking the right questions, di ba? Katulad si Boy Abunda. Bakit ba naging popular si Boy Abunda? Kasi unang tanong pa lang niya, lumuluha na yung mga ini-interview niya, umiiyak na. Kasi he has that gift of asking the right questions at the right time in the right way na hindi siya offending. Even sino pa ba yung mga popular na TV host or nagkakonduct ng mga ganyang interview about sa mga sensational news, 'di ba? So hindi lahat kasi talaga meron nung skill na 'yon. And if you have that kind of skill, then good for you. Pero hindi lahat ng tao can analyze data na ang sagot niya ay oo, pero yung itsura ng mata niya, yung itsura ng facial reaction niya, yung hand gesture niya, hindi naman oo yung sagot niya. So hindi lahat can analyze that kind of data. So when it comes to qualitative research, it requires skills talaga. People ang kinakausap mo, so kailangan you can read in between the lines of what they are saying. Kasi hindi lahat ng sinasabi ng tao ay totoo. Minsan makikita mo kung ano yung totoong sagot based on their body actions, facial reactions, ganyan. Diba? So reading in between the lines is required when it comes to qualitative research. And not everyone has those skills. Okay? Minsan, dahil hindi natin siya skill, baka mali yung maging interpretation natin doon sa data. And then, for quantitative research, it still requires skills, pero siguro mas mababa in terms of compared to qualitative research. So, syempre, you still need skill. For example, walang available na standard survey para doon sa topic ninyo. Syempre, kailangan gagawa ka ng sarili mong survey questionnaire. So, it requires skill din kasi you will come up with questions na madaling maintindihan ng mga respondents mo. Pero when it comes to reading in between the lines, hindi mo siya kailangan gawin when it comes to quantitative research because the numbers will do the work for you. Kaya nga dito sa type of analysis, sa quantitative research, statistical siya. So dyan papasok yung statistics and probability ninyo. Gagamitan nyo siya ng different statistical tools or statistical tests. Tapos magka-come up kayo ng result in numbers, and then based on those numbers, i-analyze nyo siya if it is a good result, if there is a correlation between the factors, kung meron siyang effect sa isa't isa, or wala naman kayong nakikitang effect. For example, yung example natin last time, yung performance niya in school at saka yung number of hours of sleep niya. Meron ba talagang correlation or may effect ba sa isa't isa yung factors na yon? Kapag ba puyat ang isang tao, automatic mababa ang grades niya. Paano kung puyat siya dahil nag-aral siya? Mas mataas yung score niya. Diba? At hindi naman lahat ng nagpupuyat, automatic mataas din ang score. So, meron bang effect sa isa't isa yung number of hours ng tulog at saka yung academic performance? So, based on the statistical result, doon sa number na makukuha ninyo sa ginamit ninyong statistical test, malalaman ninyo if there is a correlation. What kind of correlation? Is it a positive or a negative correlation? Or malalaman ninyo na wala naman siyang effect sa isa't isa. So there is no correlation between the two factors. So kailangan mo ng statistics in quantitative research. Pagdating naman sa qualitative research, ayan, hindi mo siya kailangan ng statistical test. Walang math na ginagamit in qualitative research. Pero it really requires skill because very subjective at interpretative ang analysis in qualitative research. So sabi ko nga sa inyo, depende sa inyo if how you are going to read in between the lines. Pag tinanong mo ba siya, okay ka lang ba? At ang sinagot niya, oo. Yung oo ba na yon ay talagang oo, okay siya? Or baka naman, oo, hindi pala. Depende sa ma-observe mo na magiging reaction niya, itsura ng mata niya, facial reaction, facial expressions, yung galaw ng katawan. Alam niyo yung mga yon. Those can be used, those observations can be used in order for you to really analyze kung ano yung result nung naging interview mo. So, very subjective siya and interpretative. And not everyone can be subjective and can really interpret and read between the lines doon sa mga data na magagather qualitatively. And then in terms of types of research, qualitative is more of exploratory. You want to dive in deeper into a certain topic, whereas in quantitative, you want to establish if there is a causal relationship. Ito yung sinasabi natin, naaapektuhan ba nila yung isa't isa? Pag naapektuhan ba nila yung isa't isa, maganda ba yung effect nila sa isa't isa na habang tumataas yung tulog, tumataas yung academic performance? Or baka naman wala silang causal relationship or wala silang effect doon sa isa't isa. So this is just an overview of what qualitative and quantitative research is. And in the end, kayo ang magde-decide what kind of qualitative research and what kind of quantitative research you will be doing. Okay? So now let's focus on qualitative research. So for today, ang focus natin is the different kinds of qualitative research. Before I go to the next slide, meron po bang questions coming from the class before I continue with the next slide? Raise of hands na lang. Or siguro you can type in your questions doon sa chat box. Mukhang wala naman. Nakikinig pa ba? Thumbs up sign nga. Nako, si Jofel hindi na ata nakikinig. Nakikinig pa. Okay, sige. So now let's focus on qualitative research. Mukhang wala naman kayong question na. Later on, if you have questions, siguro I'll give the time. And then sabi ko nga, yun nga, pag nabibilisan na kayo sa explanation ko, just call my attention para medyo babagal or pwede kong ulitin yung naging idea. Okay? So sabi niya dito, qualitative research involves the studied use and collection of a variety of empirical materials such as case study, personal experiences, introspective life story, interview, observational, historical, interactional, and visual text that describe routine and problematic moments and meanings in individual lives. So in qualitative research, the kind of data that we can use to answer our questions is we can interview them for their personal experiences. Okay. We can interview them about their opinions. Okay. We can interview them about their life story. So, I think nagbigay ako ng example dyan. Ano yung experiences ng mga taong nakatira in Zambales during martial law? Life story yon. So, ikikwento nila sa iyo ano yung habitual routines nila or ano yung everyday activities na ginagawa nila during martial law. So, kung maraming restrictions, ibig sabihin, mas marami silang hindi pwedeng gawin. At kung nandun sila sa lugar na hindi naman ganun ka-restricted or ganun ka-limited, ibig sabihin, walang nabago dun sa everyday routine or everyday action nila. Okay? Siguro 5 years from now, you can conduct a qualitative research about the experiences of people during the lockdown. Kasi medyo magkakaiba tayo ng level, di ba, ng community lockdowns. Pagdating sa NCR, Metro Manila, Manila City, Pasig, Makati, like that, medyo mas mahigpit yung, supposedly, medyo mas mahigpit dapat yung kanilang community lockdown. Compared pag nagpunta ka ng, pag nagpunta ka ng Iloilo or other areas na super baba nung kanilang mga cases, hindi ganun kahigpit yung kanilang naging experiences. So, pwede yun. Life story, personal experience, you can use that for your information. Ngayon, medyo hindi pa natin siya, yung experience about the pandemic, hindi pa natin siya mas pwedeng maging topic kasi ongoing pa yung pandemic. So, ayan. Siguro wait tayo ng 2 to 3 years. Pag na-lift na yung pandemic, then saka natin siya balikan. So, pwede siyang historical, such as yung experiences during martial law, experiences ng mga Zambaleños during Mount Pinatubo. May mga ganyan. Historical yun eh. And then, of course, visual text. Kung hindi mo na makakausap yung tao, tas meron siyang diary, day-to-day diary or journal that will provide information about this, pwede yun. Visual text ang tawag doon. So it will be able to help describe the routine, problematic moments, and of course, meanings in individual lives. So that is qualitative research. And qualitative research is very popular, or one of the advantages of doing qualitative research is that, number one, it's cheaper. Siyempre, di ba, if you will remember, you will only conduct interview. At the same time, you will only interview a few people. Kung hindi ka mag-i-interview, you are going to use diaries and journals. Hindi mo naman babayaran yung mga yun eh. Okay? So, wala kang masyadong gagastusin when it comes to doing qualitative research. Hindi katulad ng quantitative research, pag ikaw ay nag-experimental, kailangan mo ng laboratory, kailangan mo ng mga chemicals, medyo magastos yon. Or pag nagpa-survey ka, kailangan mong mag-interview ng 100 na respondents. Ibig sabihin, kailangan mong mag-print out ng 100 copies of the survey. Medyo magastos yon. Compared sa qualitative, since interview siya, tapos konting number lang naman yung kailangan mong ma-interview, comparatively, cheaper siya. Hindi ko sinasabing wala kayong gagastusin, pero comparatively, mas maliit yung gagastusin ninyo when doing qualitative research. So kung yung mga taong kailangan ninyong ma-interview, mga kakilala nyo naman, okay lang kahit wala na kayong ibigay na token. Pero kung mga experts yung kailangan mong ma-interview, syempre, they will be spending time with you. Usually, yung iba nagbibigay ng token para to show appreciation na thank you po for giving your time. Syempre, experts, we know some of them are busy, they have their jobs, they have their responsibilities. So if they will allow you to interview them kahit 1 hour or 2 hours lang, bawas yun sa kanilang oras. Yung iba nagbibigay ng token. Okay? Or yung iba, papakainin during the interview, syempre, you serve snacks or you serve drinks. So, meron at meron pa rin gagastusin. Pero hindi nga siya ganun kagastos compared sa quantitative research. Especially for those who will be conducting experimental quantitative research. Kasi talagang gagastos at gagastos sila dun sa materials na gagamitin nila for the experiment. Okay? So one of the popularities or the advantages of doing qualitative research is cheaper siya. And next, one of the advantages din ng qualitative research is that it really provides you a good idea, an in-depth understanding about your respondents. Makikilala mo sila in a way na mas malalim dun sa pagkakakilala ng mga researchers na nagko-conduct ng survey. Kasi yung survey talagang ibigay mo lang, sagutan lang nila in 5 minutes, tapos na. So yung interaction ninyo when it comes to your respondents, mas maiksi in quantitative research. Kaya the getting to know idea or the getting to know process in quantitative research is very limited. Pero pagdating sa qualitative research, napaka-in-depth niyan. Isipin mo, 1 hour kayong mag-uusap nung respondent mo. Talagang meron at meron kang mga information na malalaman mula sa kanila na masasabi mong hindi alam ng ibang tao. So, mas marami kang malalaman tungkol sa kanila. And that is a good, okay yon kasi ibig sabihin, mas mai-interpret mo ng maayos yung sagot nila kasi mas kilala mo na sila. Siguro during the first 5 to 10 minutes, medyo mahirap siya kasi syempre, you're still establishing rapport, kinikilala nyo pa yung isa't isa, kahit naman kayo, yung taong kakakilala nyo lang, syempre, hindi naman kayo ganon ka-forthcoming or ganon kabilis magbigay ng information sa kanila. Syempre, kailangan nyo munang hulihin yung loob nila. Pero pag nahuli mo na yung loob nila, mas madali na silang magbigay ng information sa'yo. Mas madali ka nang magtanong ng mga tanong, tapos sasagutin na nila ng may mga additional information na. Hindi mo na kailangang manghingi pa ng mga follow-up questions. Okay? So, very in-depth or malalim, malawak talaga yung information na makukuha mo through qualitative research. And of course, usually qualitative research, it works in tandem. Sabay silang ginagamit ng quantitative research. Usually, ang tawag natin dito ay mixed research. So, ang ginagawa ng mga researchers, nagsasurvey muna sila para ma-establish nila yung general na sagot. And then, para mapalalim nila yung general na sagot na yon, mamimili sila doon sa mga na-survey nila ng mga 3, 4, 5, yun ang i-interviewin nila para mas mapalalim yung kanilang result. So, for example, let's go back to Jollibee. So, sabi ni Jollibee, ang survey niya is, are you satisfied with the services of Jollibee? So, nag-interview sila ng 100 tao. Tapos, in-interview nila if generally, the population is satisfied with the services, with Jollibee's services. Merong 70 people na nagsabing yes, they are satisfied. Pero very general yun. Alam mo lang na satisfied. Hindi mo alam in what way or ano yung mga dahilan kung bakit sila satisfied sa services ng Jollibee. So para mapalalim mo yun at malaman mo ano yung mga aspeto or yung mga factors kung bakit sila satisfied sa Jollibee, pwede kang mag-conduct ng interview. Yung 70 people na yon, hindi mo kailangang i-interview. Pwede ka lang mag-interview ng 5 or 10% ng 70 na yun. Yung 7 yun, you will interview them and you will ask them ano yung mga aspects ng services na yun sila satisfied. So, mas malalim yung malalaman mo. So, malalaman mo na, okay, itong 70% na to, satisfied pala sila. Kasi yung services ng Jollibee, mabilis. Pag nag-order ako ngayon, within 5 minutes, nandun na yung pagkain. So, kung gutom na gutom ako, di ko na kailangang maghintay pa ng matagal. Di ba? Or, satisfied sila sa anong tawag dito, yung sa mga waiters at saka yung mga ino-orderan natin, lagi silang nakangiti, lagi silang masaya. So, it helps you become satisfied. Or dahil malinis yung area, yun yung reason kung bakit ka satisfied. So, ngayon, mas lumalalim yung understanding mo about the topic. Hindi lang generally satisfied yung alam mo. Ngayon, alam mo na ito yung mga bagay na tinitignan ng mga tao kaya sila naging satisfied. So, you will ensure na yung mga employees ng Jollibee, ginagawa nila yon. Kasi mas tumataas yung satisfaction ng mga customers pag nakikita nilang mabilis yung services, pag masaya yung mga service providers, at saka pag malinis yung area or yung lugar ng Jollibee. So, mas nai-improve niya yung result na naibibigay ng quantitative research kasi mas nagiging in-depth na siya. Okay? So, ayan yung some of the advantages of doing qualitative research. Let's continue. So, ngayon, ano naman yung limitations or disadvantages ng qualitative research? Number 1, qualitative research cannot identify causal relationships. So, yung sinasabi natin kanina, do they impact each other? Kung meron ba silang positive correlation or negative correlation or no correlation at all, hindi natin masasagot yung mga tanong na yan using qualitative research. Okay? Kapag kaganon ang focus ng research ninyo, then you should be doing a quantitative research. Unfortunately, mag-e-end ang aking meeting